going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal SpazPhoenix, the YWC Reality Check. This is going to be a short video. This is just going to be my reaction to a bit of news I heard today in the wrestling world, you know, reading No DQ and Bleacher Report and WrestleZone and all that sort of thing. The breaking news that WWE house shows are no longer going to be brand specific. And I thought, okay, that's kind of cool, whatever. And then I thought about it even more, and then I read the articles, and I got the, you know, the important points from all the different articles that have had a bunch of different things to say on the topic. And really, this is the death knell of anybody that thought the brands meant anything in the WWE anymore. But as most of the articles I read today point out, let's go through a little bit of the history of the whole branding thing. More than 10 years ago, WWE decided they were gonna, they thought, because they had all the spill-off from ECW and all the spill-off from WCW and a bunch of other people that they were really high on, they thought they had enough star power to run two completely different shows, almost as if they were two completely different companies. And they did. They divided the roster. They had that dumbass storyline where Flair took half the company and Vince took half the company, and that's how they introduced the brand split. They had separate GMs, they had separate belts, they had separate pay-per-views at one point, which was absolutely painful. But they had everything. They really did treat them like... sorry, something in my eye. They really did treat them like not only two different companies, but almost as if they were two rivaling companies, as if Vince McMahon was trying to recreate WCW versus WWE within the WWE, and it was a great idea, but the execution of it was shit. But and the thing is, though, especially these days, they really don't have the star power to support two completely separate shows, and everything was thing. You bled blue or you bled red, or you know, you were for Team SmackDown or you were for Team Raw, and you know, back when bragging rights actually meant something, which is, you know, a pay-per-view that I don't exactly miss. But then they started to chip away at the integrity of the idea of the brand split when they started having drafts, and then the draft became an every year thing. And then some GMs, as the GMs changed over the years, actually traded talent because, you know, they thought one was better than the other. And it immediately took away from the credibility of my brand is the best when people were so eager to grab talent from the other brand, much like WWE, thinking they were better than WCW or ECW or vice versa, yet they were stealing each other's talent and da-da-da-da. And then they removed the exclusivity. It was like, you know, see so-and-so in a rare appearance on Raw, or, you know, somebody would go over from Raw to SmackDown to try and boost SmackDown's ratings, etc. That's another story. So the exclusivity began to chip away. And then, in probably one of the biggest fail moves ever, as SmackDown continued to fail on its ass, they created the Raw Super Show. The idea of the Raw Super Show being that you would see some guys that are supposedly exclusive SmackDown guys, and you would switch over on Friday nights and think, okay, I gotta watch SmackDown because I gotta see these guys, when really the opposite happened. It's like anybody that was considering watching SmackDown could see anybody worth seeing on SmackDown if they watched on Raw, because either that person would be on Raw, or at least they would see recaps of it on Raw, or something would affect something on Raw. So creating the Super Show, where it was supposed to create interest in SmackDown, actually gave people an excuse not to watch it. And then they did a few SmackDown Super Shows, which I really don't know what they were supposed to achieve at all, but not to mention the fact that they were also themed. They had the Great American Bash Super SmackDown. They had the Retro Super SmackDown, which at the time they did it, SmackDown was only 10 years old, so how retro could it have been? So SmackDown Super Show served no purpose whatsoever. The Raw Super Show actually served its purpose in reverse. And now we find ourselves in a situation where everyone is everywhere, and it's true. And you see, you know, Team Hell No, which was originally, you know, here or there. Daniel Bryan, who was on SmackDown, you know, jumped over to Raw one night, decided he was going to face CM Punk for the WWE Championship, and we've been laughing at the brand split ever since. Look at John Cena versus Dolph Ziggler. There was a time where Dolph Ziggler was a prominent SmackDown fixture, and one of the reasons that I watched SmackDown. Same thing with a guy like Randy Orton, who is sort of the talent builder on SmackDown, but you see him enough on Raw. I mean, I watch SmackDown if I'm home. I wasn't tonight, so I didn't catch it. I caught it on the bus on the way home. I went out, did some stuff, watched it on YouTube, on my phone, on the bus ride home. If I miss SmackDown, I don't think I've missed very much, because anything important happens on Raw. Now, throw in the fact that SmackDown is taped and on a Friday. Nobody's going to stay home on a Friday night to watch wrestling unless they don't have plans on a Friday night, and definitely they're not going to stay home on a Friday to catch SmackDown if they have other plans, if it's been taped and everything worth talking about has been spoiled. And if you consider that because of the spoiler factor, nothing important happens on SmackDown anyway. So everything is garbage. So everyone is everywhere. Anything worth seeing happens on Raw. The only thing that's still brand specific is the house shows, which are getting shit attendance in general, but especially the SmackDown house show attendance is absolutely abysmal. They're filling like 1/3 of an arena, 1/3 of a rec center, 1/3 of a Centrum or wherever they're doing their house shows. So the house shows fail on their ass in general, and it's compounded by the SmackDown branded house shows, which are absolutely, like I say, abysmal. Throw in another odd little thing that they threw in sort of at the end of one of the articles that really makes you think. Yeah, anything that has to do with anything. Everybody from SmackDown is on Raw, everybody from Raw is on SmackDown, and everybody from SmackDown and Raw you can see on Superstars making guest appearances on NXT, on Main Event, and on Saturday Morning Slam. So the only thing keeping any specificity between the two brands is the separately branded house shows. And those, apparently by the end of the year, are going to be melded into just WWE branded house shows. They're going to be called, they've got a bunch of different titles. They're thinking about WWE Live, WWE Universe Experience, WWE World Tour, etc., etc., etc. But they're not going to be brand specific anymore, which, on its own, because if you're like me, you don't really give a shit about the house shows. Who cares about the house shows? I'm not going to lie. I'm lucky enough, my closest major city is Toronto, which is a big enough wrestling city that we get a lot of Raws, we get a lot of SmackDowns, and we get the occasional pay-per-view. So, I don't blink if there's a house show in Toronto. There's one coming up, I think, in 2 months. I'm not going. Nothing big happens at a house show anyway, so why is this such a big deal? The house shows, the separately branded house shows, is the last linchpin of anybody's reasoning as to why we should have 2 world championships. I have said for years, I have stood on my virtual electronic pedestal on this channel, and I have stated, hand on heart, for the world to hear, if there are 2 world champions, if there are 2 guys calling themselves the best, then there is no one best. And this eliminates the very last excuse, the very last crutch. So WWE, I'm your buddy, your pal SpazPhoenix, giving you a YWC reality check. You've made the right move. You've virtually abolished the brand split. Next step, 1 world title. Just saying. On a totally separate note, on a totally creative note, because I get bored on the bus, etc., 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 what do you guys think of this 6-on-6 elimination match? CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Brad Maddox versus Chris Jericho, Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, Alberto Del Rio, The Miz, and Justin Gabriel. Put your thoughts down in the box below. Put your thoughts about the brands and the 1 or 2 world titles and anything else really that you want down in the box below. I just thought I'd share my thoughts on this big bit of news on this late Friday night, early Saturday morning spiel. Anyways, but that's about it. I'm going to bed. I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.